Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of Pele Yoetz. Today we're talking about Gadol, which is Hashem's greatness, and I don't know if we can ever say enough, but let's see what the Rav has to say about it. And it says, "The great is our Lord, and His greatness has no limits, far beyond the ability of our minds to comprehend. The Sefer Haredim has written that just too like when a small child who only knows how to count to 10 is told, beyond any limits and beyond any number, he will imagine that 100 is beyond limits and beyond number. Similarly, when he learns to count to 100, he will imagine that 1,000 or 10,000 is beyond limits and beyond number. So too, everything that we can imagine about the greatness of our Lord will fail to equal even the smallest understanding of the young child who cannot count more than 10. Nevertheless, it is proper for us to always remember, to the best of our ability, the greatness of our Lord when we see the vastness of the physical world, which is unfathomable relatively to the upper worlds and the worlds above them, filled with the myriads of spiritual beings without any limits, without any numbers. All of them are as nothing compared to the greatness of our Lord. We must believe in absolute faith that our intellect does not fathom and cannot imagine even the most minuscule part of the greatness of our Lord. We cannot really think about it all, as it's stated in the introduction of Tana Deve Eliyahu. There is no thought that comprehends you at all. Likewise, the poet wrote, investigate his actions, but do not attempt to understand he himself. This thinking is beneficial when combined with the thoughts of the lowliness of man and the abundance of God's kindness and love for him. It will awaken love, fear, humility, and happiness. This is the source of one's sense of being Jewish and of the pure fear of God. Fortunate is the person who consistently maintains this thought on a daily basis. It is a mitzvah. It brings about other mitzvot. It protects from all wrongdoing, and it causes his service of God to be complete. This was the level of the pious ones of the early generations, who would dwell 1 hour before every prayer on the greatness of the Creator and the humility of man. Afterward, they would stand in prayer like a mosquito who waits to serve before a lofty, exalted, awesome, and overwhelming king. This is a profound principle of Torah, and this is the whole of man. So I think just by this opening, we see how different, there's a vast difference in the way that tzaddikim of previous generations prepared to even pray before Hashem. I mean, can you imagine? I think the actual prayer of 1 hour, I think for many of us, it's like, first of all, I don't know if anybody else, goes through this, but the moment you start praying, you have 10 different things that pop into your head about what you got to do. And you're trying so hard to focus and you can't. So can you imagine that preparation time before, which really, I mean, you really need it. It's very, it's funny. The Levium were charged with this task, and this is why we really need a Beit HaMikdash. I'm going to start the campaign, hashtag build it and they will come. Hashem would charge the Levium with preparing their hearts, and a lot of times they did this with music, to prepare the heart of the people in order to serve Hashem. So this is kind of what the tzaddikim were doing, and that's not to say that they were, singing, and maybe they were. Who knows? Wouldn't it be great, like if we had, in Spain there was this like very popular show, and it was called, what was it called? At any rate, it was about like time travel, and wouldn't it be great to just like go through and just see, right? Almost like we just need to see, like. How did you serve so that I can follow it, So it would be really great to do that. But alas, this is where we are. And all we have are these sephers to kind of tell us, how to do this service. So we're going to continue on. And it says that, behold, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the master of greatness and honor. He bestowed of his greatness upon his creatures, and he commanded that each one should show respect for someone who is greater. For example, a father, a mother, a rav, someone who is greater in wisdom or in years. Likewise, a brother is required to honor his older brother, and in similar situation, where one is greater than the other, there is an obligation of respect. This is certainly a concept that's lacking in our generation. There's virtually, first of all, I think it's my biggest pet peeve to hear children call their parents by their first name. I think that's one of the biggest signs of disrespect there. And I don't even think that like children are aware of it. It is a very big sign of disrespect. They have the title of your mother or your father. Bestow that upon them. And for sure, brothers also have this kind of disrespect towards one another. So it says, our sages in Pesachim 113b commented, what is the source for the obligation of a person who knows that someone is greater than himself, that he must treat him with respect? The verse in Daniel 6:4 says, a person is obliged to honor whoever possesses a superior virtue. A man who shames an individual whom he's required to respect, it's as if he shames a Kadosh Baruch Hu, Has v'Shalom, who commanded him to show this honor. It is inappropriate for a man to seek prominence. Behold, our sages said in Pesachim 87b, they noted that power buries those who possess it, because a person cannot escape the great evil of arrogance without strength, valor, and constant battle. This is very true. If you ever find, if you like in America at least, or whatever country you're listening to this, if you ever look at the leaders, and I've looked at it with some more recent leaders, in particular the presidents, you notice when they come in, they look very young. In just a short amount of time, by the time they leave their position, they really have, it looks like they went through they had the weight of the world on their shoulders. And that's like a constant thing. And if you find that leaders as well, Yosef also died at a younger age. Many of the leaders die younger. There is a lot of stress that comes on. It's not just the stress of the actual job you have to do, but it is that battle that you're constantly battling with yourself when you are in a leadership position. I've had positions where I've been in management, and I have to say honestly, I kind of like the positions that were not in management, simply because there is a lot more expected of you when you're in management. You constantly have to, it's a tough key of a Jew too. We constantly have to be an example. So this becomes a very difficult and daunting task for people who are in positions of leadership. So very difficult task. So it says, nevertheless, it is proper that every city should appoint one individual who will lead them, guide them, and according to his counsel will direct them. The city's inhabitants should be very careful to show him suitable respect and not to rebel against his word. Even if all the men are equal in virtue, they should still bestow leadership upon one of them, like a king over his army. Likewise, in every home, one person should be the person in charge. He should listen to the advice of the lesser members of the household, and they should respect him and not rebel against his word. This is a fundamental principle in the order of society, the organization of cities and peace in the home. If people say, why should this person be king and rule over us all, to kill, annihilate, and abandon us? What virtues does he have? Let us all be kings. The world would be destroyed. Likewise, in every city and home, one person must be the head and the leader according to his word. They will camp and according to his words and will travel. And see Bamidbar 9:20. So this, for sure, I think that's exactly what's going on in this generation. I think that, we're seeing this blatant disrespect in such a high level. We see it in politics. But if we were to back up and, because things just don't go from 0 to 60 like the car, but even the car has to, from before it gets to 60, it has to travel 10, 20, 30, etc. Same thing if we back this concept up. When we see this grand rebellion with the government, it really starts with the rebellion that was at home when again, here we go, that children are not respecting their parents. There's not the proper kavod even for between the brothers. So this carries on because it's this sense of arrogance that why should you be above me? They're above you because Hashem put them there. And there is no other, that's it. That's the long and short of it. Hashem is running the world. Hashem has placed that person in a position over you. And it is, if it's a problem for you, then perhaps this was something that it's a tikkun, perhaps for you to work on. But there has to be this sense of honor and dignity and respecting Hashem's word and what he has ordained as the proper order of things. And that is a very difficult task for us because I think, for the most part, at this point, it's a total mishmash. It's like the government in itself is a total mishmash. But even in our inner circles, it's a mishmash. People who, at this point now, people who are in power, I think, I think that they're challenged all the way around. So, very big problem in this generation. And really at this point, I think we just need Mashiach to come and to sort it all out, because it is just a big pile of rubbish everywhere. So we're going to continue on. It says, take heed from the structure of the body. The head is on top. The legs would say, why is the head above? We want to be on top. The whole person would be null and void. Therefore, everyone cannot be the leader. Isn't that true? That there's a saying, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. There's like, no one wants to be the sous chef, right? Everyone wants to be the executive chef. Very difficult in our time. I think we all feel that we are accomplished in our own right, and we should be the ones leading the battalion. So it says, according to a majority decision, one person should be appointed the head. This will be the source of peace in the camp and serenity and in their places. So that's concluding that chapter. For sure. Gosh, I really can't wait till Mashiach comes, because this was one chapter that really was hot off the presses. Who knows? Perhaps her Rav, HaShem gave him the ability to travel in time and to see the future and what a balagan it's going to be, or that it is. Really, hashtag build the Beit HaMikdash so Mashiach can come already. I'm really ready for it. I'm ready for some order and some structure. And really, I don't feel like I have to be the star of the show anymore in my life. I feel like so long as I'm just part of the team, I'm happy to play my part and give and step aside for those who HaShem has appointed to do that. But this did not come overnight, I promise you. And it's still something. I think there are always going to be times, and I hope not forever. I really hope I get it under control. But there is always times where I think, what is this really, empty in the cabeza, guy doing here? What is he, HaShem help us. We really need it. Please send Mashiach. We need that even more. But that's it for today, and I hope we'll all be together again soon. Bezrat HaShem.